Okay, so this is what you get with a table kit, right? If you don't take anything away from this class today, except that, this, and putting a pillow under their abdomen. Okay, what does that feel like?
A little uncomfortable, like the leg.
So I want your leg to be like that. What does that feel like?
It's a little better, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you feel stable?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I feel like if you pushed on me, I'm going off the table.
All right. Now, voila.
Wow.
Let's
Swap this out.
wash your whole body.
Oh yeah, that's much better.
And then it's an easy thing to reposition based on hip flexion. So let's say you were just sleeping, I can kind of adjust this up
Oh wow, yeah.
or down. Usually the leg a little bit further up will create some added stability, like you're not going to roll forward. Since the pelvis is more lined up and they're not turning, that means the spine is also going to be in a more neutral position. And the more we can keep the spine in a neutral position throughout the entire massage, the safer everything is, right? And then one added component we could always sprinkle in, this isn't really big enough, but a pillow to hug.
Oh,
But that one's a little bit small, but
But you get the idea here. And you can access now the lateral side. I can get to the muscles here and structures on her head, into the side of the neck. I can get her arm out of the way, and I can, just by altering her position a little bit, bending her forward, I can get into the muscles of the back in through here, and bringing her this way, I can get into the muscles of the chest. So it sets me up so I can use my forearm. That's the other thing for efficiency. The forearm first. Try to use your forearm more than your hand, and don't use your thumb. And when you use your forearm, you don't use the forearm by the wrist, because if you use it by the wrist and you go to apply pressure down, you're doing this. So you've got to be up and use from the point of the elbow. Don't use the point of your elbow, but use from the edge of that about a third down. That's your contact. And then this just hangs
this is
up.
the frustrating element I see when people get taught to use their elbow, is they're taught to use the olecranon as a sharp point. And don't get me wrong, pounds per square inch, the sharper the point of contact, the more pounds per square inch, right? So we need to distribute that, but we can't you can get away with real bad biomechanics and create an intense sensation with the olecranon of your elbow. So we have to start with the contact, not this. But the elbow is making contact, and then it's being displaced out into the forearm. Right?
So when we actually demonstrate specific methods, now it's dangerous to be a demo.
okay. You forgot to say that in the beginning.
Because I really don't care about you. I care about what.
The therapeutic chain says the teaching side.
But I can now get in and use my forearm in here. And all of that stuff that goes into the head. So I can use some compression. Have you got a headache?
No.
Oh, well, do you
Not
get
yet.
headaches?
No.
Oh, well, pretend.
Okay.
I can give you one.
Right.
But if I'm down and up against the skull, then I got to think, well, what attaches there? So the sternocleidomastoid attaches there, and I can now, this is a pin, and I can have her move it, which is going to take it into ease and bind, and I can have her stretch it, so I pin it and move your head in a gentle circle. There we go. That's it.
Yeah, that
And that's
works.
just compression plus movement, right? By having her do a variety of movements, it's gonna have a bigger effect on the tissue. Traditional pin and stretch is purely passive.
Yeah.
It's, I shorten the tissue, I compress it, and then I as the therapist. Active release technique is I set that up and then I have the person actively move out of that. So active release technique is just active movement, pin and stretch. But if we just break it down to something that's much more accessible to when the therapist and probably is gonna have a bigger chance of creating the effect we're looking for, it's compression plus all the movements. And
And raise your table up, not so high that it's in your armpit, but look at how high I'm not bent over. And if I'm using my forearm, I need as my majority thing, then I have to have the table higher. So, you know, if this is how I'm gonna do it, then this table is too high. But that's not how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it like that. And then when you're working in the neck area, you wanna make sure that the face is pointing towards the nose. Stay away from the anterior neck. This is how we would access the suboccipitals in there. And you gotta go through like a million tissue layers. So you don't really access the suboccipitals. You press on something that presses down something that presses on something, and maybe it'll press down deep enough to actually change the shape of those. This is the position for upper trapezius and scalenes, just like this. Remember, effectiveness with efficiency. Go ahead, recreate the symptom, which you don't have.
Okay.
Do you have one now?
Mm.
Well, there's nerves in here. Brachial plexus is in through here. Okay, now, move the distal joint. So that would be the arm. Just roll your arm in a circle. Scalenes, however, attach on the ribs. So you can do that for a while, which is gonna get upper trapezius, and then I can say, take a deep breath. And I cough. So that's that application of muscle energy technique. This is how we change the shape of the ribs, is by pressing on them this way. It's taking the rib cage and taking it out that way. Feel it?
Mm-hmm.
That'll move all the facet joints along the back where people want their back cracked. Facet joints are where the ribs join onto the vertebrae, and if you,
Yeah,
was that a good oof?
that was that's a tender.
Does it relay a symptom that you're familiar with?
No, it's just tender right there.
No, well, then I'm on the wrong spot. Quadratus lumborum that everybody loves. You can't touch the quadratus lumborum, but you can get to something called a raphe. And again, when we get back from lunch, we get into some of this more specific stuff. You know, we'll talk to you more about what that is. So sidle-lying is very, very important if you want to be effective and efficient. All right, so what do you think? You like your bolster?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get one.
All right, so while I have a body up here, I'm gonna have you roll on your tummy. The other positioning thing, Stiff.
do you want the,
No, I'm just gonna, no. The thing you want to with, yeah, just put them someplace. The thing that you want to be careful of when you're working with the spine is you do not want it in extension. The spine does not like extension. So that spine, if I were looking at that from standing up, it's this. You can solve that by, up you come, We're gonna put a pillow under your belly.
Under my belly, okay.
Right above the pubic bone. There.
Probably need that lower,
Well, I'm,
quite a bit lower.
okay, there it
Right
is. Now it's not in hyperextension. So let's do some palpation, let's come feel that. So up you come.
If you wanna create your own, you can be plenty inventive, right? But wanna package this in a more aesthetically pleasing way, right? Buying the mattress foam works great, and then we've had, it's not like it flies out the door, but we have plenty of clients actually end up buying these as well. So it's something that you could, buy the mattress, cut it up, and then have them available for people if they wanted them. I think all in with this plus the case, we don't make anything on it, is $20.
Yeah.
So it's actually cheaper than those round bolsters when you buy them on Amazon, so they tend to be 30.